You have read the books, you have attended the seminars, you have optimized your daily schedule down to the minute, but you are still hitting the same ceiling. The revenue is flat, the team is disengaged, the promotion never comes. Why? Because you are trying to run new software on an old operating system. Most high performers are obsessed with strategy. They obsess over what they do. But Ryan Gottfredson, the author of Success Mindsets, argues that this is exactly where we get it wrong. We are trying to solve problems at the level of behavior. But the level of the solution is never found at the level of the problem. You have to go deeper. You have to go to the root. This book is an engineering manual for your brain. It is about vertical development. Horizontal development is adding new apps to your phone, new skills, new techniques. Vertical development is upgrading the actual phone, increasing your capacity to process the world. And the mechanism that controls that capacity is called a mindset. Think of a mindset as a neural fuel filter. It sits at the base of your skull and filters every piece of data before it ever reaches your conscious thought. It tells you what is a threat and what is an opportunity. It tells you who is a friend and who is an enemy. And here is the dangerous part. You don't even know it is happening. We all fall into what Gottfredson calls the best thinking trap. You believe that the way you see the world is the only way to see the world. You think your reality is the reality, but it isn't. It is just a setting. And for most of us, that setting is stuck on survival. In this summary, we are going to break down the 4 specific neural pathways that dictate your success. We are going to move you from fixed to growth, from closed to open, from prevention to promotion, and from inward to outward. This is not about positive thinking. This is about neural rewiring. We are going to open up the hood of your psychology. We are going to find the wires that are crossed, and we are going to fix them. If you are ready to stop hacking at the leaves of your behavior and strike at the root, then let's begin. Part 1. The Awakening, Vertical Development, and the Root Cause. You are currently operating inside a prison that you cannot see. You have built it yourself, brick by brick, over the course of your entire life. And the reason you cannot see the walls is because they are made of your own thoughts. This is the starting point of our journey. It is not a comfortable place to start. Most leadership books, most business seminars, and most coaching sessions start with a very different premise. They start by telling you that you are just one strategy away from success. They tell you that if you just learn to manage your time better, if you just learn the right negotiation tactics, if you just learn how to code or how to speak in public, everything will change. They sell you on the idea of addition. They tell you that you are a bucket and you just need to fill the bucket with more skills. But Ryan Gottfredson is here to tell you that the bucket has a hole in it, and until you fix the hole, it does not matter how much water you pour in. You are exhausting yourself. You are running faster and faster on the treadmill, but the scenery never changes. You are hitting the same revenue ceiling. You are having the same conflicts with your spouse. You are feeling the same level of anxiety every Sunday night before the work week begins. Why? Why do intelligent, hardworking, disciplined people get stuck? The answer lies in a concept called vertical development. To understand this, we have to look at the technology in your pocket. Think about your smartphone. It has 2 ways of improving. The first way is adding new apps. You can download an app for fitness. You can download an app for productivity. You can download an app for language learning. This is horizontal development. It is adding new skills and knowledge to your existing system. Most of us have spent our entire careers obsessed with horizontal development. We get the MBA. We take the certification course. We read the how-to books. But there is a second way your phone improves. And this way is far more important. You can upgrade the operating system. You can improve the processor speed. You can expand the memory and the battery life. This is vertical development. This is not about adding a new app. This is about upgrading the device itself. It is about increasing your capacity to process the world. It is about increasing your emotional intelligence. It is about increasing your ability to handle complexity and stress without crashing. Here is the hard truth. Most of you are trying to run sophisticated, high-level success apps on an operating system that hasn't been upgraded since you were 20 years old. And that is why you crash. That is why you burn out. That is why you snap at your team when the pressure gets high. The operating system of the human brain is called a mindset, and to upgrade it, we have to understand exactly where it sits in the architecture of your life. Gottfredson creates a visual for this. I want you to visualize a pyramid. At the very top of this pyramid, the peak is level 3. We call this success. This is the outcome. This is the profit margin. the market share, the promotion, the legacy. This is what we are all chasing. But you cannot simply do success. Success is a result. So we look down to the middle layer of the pyramid. Level 2. This is thinking, learning, and behavior. This is the action layer. This is where you spend your days. You make decisions, you hold meetings, you write emails, you execute strategies. When we fail at level 3, success, our instinct is to mess around with level 2, behavior. We say, I need to work harder. We say, I need to be more disciplined. We say, I need to stop micromanaging. But have you ever noticed that behavioral change rarely sticks? You vow to be a better listener, but 3 days later, under stress, you are interrupting people again. You vow to be more bold, but when the big opportunity comes, you retreat to safety. Why does willpower fail? Because level 2 is not the foundation. Behavior is not the root cause. Behavior is a symptom. We have to go to the bottom of the pyramid. Level 1. Mindsets. This is the foundation of the structure, and if the foundation is cracked, the house will fall. Your mindsets are the mental lenses that dictate how you encode, process, and interpret information. They are the fuel filters of your brain. Neuroscience tells us that your brain is bombarded with 11 million bits of information every single second. But your conscious mind? It can only process about 40 to 50 bits per second. That is a massive gap. So, what happens to the rest of the data? Your mindsets filter it out. Your mindsets decide, automatically and instantly, what is important and what is trash. They decide what is a threat and what is an opportunity. They decide who is an ally and who is an enemy. And they do this before you are even consciously aware of it. This brings us to the most dangerous concept in the entire book. The best thinking trap. Because your mindsets operate in the dark. Because they operate in the non-conscious part of your brain. You assume that your reality is the reality. You think, I don't have a negative mindset. I just see the world as it is. My boss really is a tyrant. My industry really is impossible. My team really is incompetent. You believe that your current way of thinking is the best way to think. And because you believe it is the best, you defend it. You protect the very thing that is holding you back. This is the great paradox of self-improvement. We cannot change our mindsets because our mindsets tell us that they don't need to change. We are blind to our own blindness. So, how do we break out? How do we escape the trap? We have to shine a light on the invisible. We have to run a diagnostic on your internal operating system. In the book, Gottfredson identifies 4 specific continua of mindsets. On one side, you have the negative mindsets, the ones that restrict your processing power, limit your view, and trigger your fight or flight stress response. On the other side, you have the success mindsets, the ones that expand your view, increase your options, and engage your higher level thinking. I am going to walk you through these 4 areas. And as we go through them, I want you to perform a self-audit. Do not think about your neighbor. Do not think about your employees. Think about yourself. And I want you to be ruthlessly honest. Continuum number 1. The view of talent. Fixed mindset versus growth mindset. Ask yourself, when you walk into a room, what is your primary objective? Is it to look good? Or is it to learn? In a fixed mindset, you believe your intelligence and talent are set in stone. You have a certain amount, and that's it. Because you believe your talent is fixed, every situation becomes a test. Every meeting is a trial. If you make a mistake, it doesn't just mean you messed up. It means you are a failure. It means you don't have it. So what do? You hide. You avoid challenges where you might fail. You smile and nod when you don't understand something, because asking a question would reveal your ignorance. You surround yourself with people who tell you how great you are, and you avoid people who give you feedback. You are playing a game of image maintenance. Now contrast that with the growth mindset. In a growth mindset, you believe that talent is just a starting point. You believe that you can change. So when you fail, it doesn't define you. It informs you. Failure is just data. When you operate from a growth mindset, you stop trying to prove yourself, and you start trying to improve yourself. Where are you on this scale? Are you protecting your image, or are you expanding your capacity? Continuum number 2. The view of truth. Closed mindset versus open mindset. Ask yourself, when you are in a debate, what is your goal? Is it to be right, or is it to find the truth? In a closed mindset, you are addicted to being right. Your ideas are your identity. When someone challenges your idea, your brain registers it as a physical attack. Your amygdala fires. Your heart rate goes up. You get defensive. You interrupt. You explain away the data. You dismiss the other person's perspective. You think you are being strong. You think you are being a decisive leader, but actually, you are being fragile. You are so terrified of being wrong that you block out any information that contradicts your current view. And in a rapidly changing world, if you block out new information, you die. The open mindset is different. The open mindset separates your ego from your ideas. It says, I could be wrong, and I would rather know the truth than win the argument. It actively seeks out disagreement. It asks, what am I missing? It asks, how could I be wrong? Where do you stand? Do you need to be the smartest person in the room? Or do you want to be the wisest? Continuum. Number 3. The view of goals. Prevention mindset versus promotion mindset. Ask yourself, what drives your daily actions? Are you trying to avoid problems? Or are you trying to reach a destination? The prevention mindset is defense. It is playing not to lose. It is driven by fear. Fear of losing money. Fear of looking bad. Fear of making a mistake. When you are in prevention mode, your goal is safety. You are a ship captain who refuses to leave the harbor because the ocean is dangerous. You might feel busy. You might be working 14-hour days. But you are just treading water. You are maintaining the status quo. The promotion mindset is offense. It is playing to win. It is driven by purpose. It is focused on gains, advancement, and growth. It acknowledges the risk, but it focuses on the reward. It is the ship captain who says, the storm is dangerous, but the destination is worth it. Are you running toward something, or are you just running away from problems? Continuum number 4. The view of people. Inward mindset versus outward mindset. This is the most critical mindset for leadership. Ask yourself, how do you see the people around you? Do you see them as objects, or do you see them as people? In an inward mindset, you are the main character of the movie. Everyone else is just an extra. You see people as vehicles, people you can use to get what you want. You see people as obstacles, people who are in your way. Or you see people as irrelevancies, people who don't matter at all. When you treat people as objects, they know it. You might say the right things. You might use the polite words. But they can feel the inwardness. They can feel that you don't actually care about them. You only care about what they can do for you. And because of that, they disengage. They do the bare minimum. They hide their mistakes. The outward mindset flips the script. In an outward mindset, you see others as human beings. You recognize that their needs, their goals, and their challenges are just as legitimate as your own. You don't just ask, how can they help me? You ask, how can I help them? And ironically, by focusing on their success, you unlock a level of loyalty and performance that the inward leader can only dream of. So, take a deep breath. Look at the scoreboard. Fixed or growth? Closed or open? Prevention or promotion? Inward or outward? Chances are, you are not 100% on the positive side. None of us are. We all have triggers. We all have stress points where we slide back into the negative. We all have that one colleague who triggers our closed mindset. We all have that one project that triggers our prevention mindset. The goal of part 1 is not to make you feel guilty. The goal is to make you conscious. You cannot fix what you cannot see. And now, you can see it. You can see the wiring under the dashboard. You can see why the behavior change hasn't worked. You can see why the tips and tricks haven't saved you. You have been running a high-performance ambition on a low-performance operating system. But now that we have identified the problem, we can begin the engineering work. We can start the upgrade. We are going to take these mindsets one by one, and we are going to rewire them. We are going to start with the intellect. We are going to look at how you learn and how you handle the truth. This is the foundation of all competence. If you can't learn and you can't hear the truth, you are flying blind. So, how do we fix the filter? How do we move from the fragility of the know-it-all to the power of the learn-it-all? That is our next step. Part 2. The intellectual shift. From being right to finding truth. Welcome to the engine room of your intelligence. In part 1, we woke up. We realized that we are running on outdated software. Now, we are going to start the rewiring process. And we are going to start with the 2 mindsets that control how you process information, how you learn, and how you decide what is true. We call this the intellectual shift. This is not about your IQ. You can have an IQ of 160 and still be intellectually paralyzed. This is about your agility. We are going to tackle two specific continuums here. First, the shift from fixed to growth, and second, the shift from closed to open. Let's start with the first one. The fixed versus growth continuum. This is the filter that controls your relationship with failure. Most high performers, and I am talking to you, have a complicated relationship with failure. You hate it. You fear it. You have spent your entire life building a resume that proves you don't do it. And that is exactly why you are stuck. If you are operating from a fixed mindset, you believe that your talent, your intelligence, and your capabilities are set in stone. You believe you were born with a certain amount of it, and because it is fixed, your job is to prove that you have it. Your life becomes a courtroom. Every meeting is a trial. Every project is evidence. Your primary goal is to look good. You need to be the smartest person in the room. You need to be the one with the answers. But here is the trap. If your goal is to look smart, you cannot ask questions, because questions reveal ignorance. If your goal is to look perfect, you cannot take risks, because risks lead to mistakes. So you play it safe. You stay in your lane. You stick to what you already know, and you plateau. Gottfredson uses a powerful comparison to illustrate this. Think about Johnny Manziel versus Tom Brady. Johnny Manziel was a phenomenon. He won the Heisman Trophy as a freshman. He was naturally gifted. He had the arm. He had the legs. He had the instinct. He was a natural, but he had a fixed mindset. He relied on his natural ability. When he hit the NFL, when the talent level evened out, he didn't have the work ethic to adapt. He didn't study the film. He didn't grind. He thought his talent was enough, and when he failed, he didn't see it as a signal to work harder. He saw it as a threat to his identity. He crumbled. Now look at Tom Brady. Tom Brady was not a natural. He was the 199th pick in the draft. Scouts said he was too skinny. They said he was too slow. By all traditional metrics, he did not have it. But Tom Brady operates from a growth mindset. He did not believe his ability was fixed. He believed his ability was a muscle. He became obsessed with improvement. He viewed failure not as an indictment of his worth, but as data. If he threw an interception, he didn't spiral into self-loathing. He went to the sideline, looked at the tablet, and asked, "What did I miss? How do I fix it?" He was not trying to look good. He was trying to get better. And that is the shift you need to make. You need to stop proving your intelligence and start improving it. But how? How do you physically rewire a brain that has spent 30 years terrified of looking stupid? I'm going to give you a tool. It is a linguistic trigger. It is a single word that changes the chemical reaction in your brain. That word is yet. Listen to your internal monologue when you are struggling. I can't understand this financial report. I'm not good at public speaking. I can't lead this team. Those are fixed mindset statements. They are permanent. They are heavy. They shut down the learning centers of your brain. Now, add the word. I can't understand this financial report yet. I'm not good at public speaking yet. I can't lead this team yet. Do you feel the difference? The word yet cracks the door open. It signals to your brain that the current state is temporary. It tells your neurons, we are not done here. Keep firing. Keep looking for a solution. This is not just semantics. This is neuroplasticity. Every time you use yet, you are reinforcing the neural pathway of growth. You are telling yourself that struggle is not a sign of weakness. It is the sensation of the brain growing. So here is your protocol for this week. I want you to hunt for the phrase I can't. Hunt for it in your thoughts. Hunt for it in your team's language. And every time you hear it, smash the word yet onto the end of it. Force the growth. Now, let's move to the second continuum. This one is even more dangerous for leaders. The closed versus open mindset. This is the filter that controls your relationship with truth. In a fixed mindset, you are protecting your image. In a closed mindset, you are protecting your ego. You are addicted to being right. We all know what this feels like. You are in a meeting. You have a plan. You have worked on it for weeks. And then, someone raises their hand. I don't think that's going to work, they say. Have you considered X? What happens in your body? Your stomach tightens. Your pulse quickens. Your face gets hot. That is the closed mindset taking over. Your brain perceives the disagreement as a physical attack. You are not listening to their point. You are reloading your weapon. You are preparing your rebuttal. You interrupt them. You talk over them. You explain why they are wrong. Why do we do this? Because in a closed mindset, we believe that if our idea is wrong, we are wrong. We conflate our opinions with our identity, and this destroys organizations. Gottfredson tells the story of Ray Dalio. Ray Dalio is the founder of Bridgewater Associates, the largest hedge fund in the world. But in the early 80s, Ray Dalio was just a guy with a closed mindset. He was brilliant, and he knew it. He analyzed the economy and predicted a massive depression. He was so sure he was right that he bet everything on it. He went on television, he told everyone to sell, and he was dead wrong. The economy boomed. Ray Dalio lost everything. He had to fire his employees. He had to borrow $4,000 from his father just to pay his bills. It was a total humiliation, but it was also his awakening. Ray Dalio realized that his need to be right had cost him everything. He realized that he had been asking the wrong question. He had been asking, "Am I right?" He shifted. He started asking, "How do I know I am right?" This is the open mindset. The open mindset does not care about who is right. It cares about what is true. It seeks optimal thinking. Ray Dalio built Bridgewater into a powerhouse by creating a culture of radical truth. In his meetings, it doesn't matter if you are the CEO or a junior analyst. If you see something that isn't true, you are required to speak up. You are required to challenge the leader, because the goal is not to soothe the leader's ego. The goal is to find the best answer. So, how do you do this? How do you stop getting defensive when someone challenges you? I want to give you a physical protocol. It is called stiff back, soft front. This is a concept from Joan Halifax, adapted for the boardroom. When we get challenged, our natural instinct is to armor up. We stiffen our front. We cross our arms. We tighten our chest. We block the incoming data, but we also collapse our back. We lose our confidence. We feel attacked. The protocol is to reverse this. When you feel the criticism coming, step 1, stiffen your back. Sit up straight. Engage your spine. This tells your brain, I am strong. I am competent. I can handle this. This feedback does not destroy me. Step 2, soften your front. Consciously relax your belly, relax your chest, uncross your arms. This tells your brain, I am safe. I do not need to fight. I can let this information in. Stiff back keeps you confident. Soft front keeps you open. It allows you to hear the data without the emotional baggage. And once you are in this state, you use the what-how shift. This is the verbal tool. In a closed mindset, we make statements. That won't work. You're wrong. We tried that already. In an open mindset, we ask questions, but not just any questions. We ask what and how questions. Instead of saying that's wrong, you ask, what makes you see it that way? How does your data differ from mine? What am I missing here? Do you see the power of that? It forces you to be curious. And you cannot be curious and defensive at the same time. Curiosity is the antidote to the closed mindset. So here is the summary of the intellectual shift. You are moving from proving to improving. You are moving from validation to truth. You are going to use the word yet to unlock your growth. And you are going to use stiff back, soft front to unlock the truth. This is how you upgrade the processor speed of your mind. But processing speed is not enough. A computer can be fast, but if it has no software to run, it is useless. A ship can have a great engine, but if it has no destination, it is just drifting. You need drive. You need motivation. And most of you are fueled by the wrong kind of energy. You are running on fear, not purpose. You are playing not to lose. In part 3, we are going to fix that. We are going to flip the switch from prevention to promotion. We are going to stop looking at the rocks and start looking at the horizon. Part 3, the motivational shift, from playing not to lose to playing to win. We have upgraded the machine. In part 2, we fixed the processor. We shifted from fixed to growth. We shifted from closed to open. You are now capable of learning faster and seeing the truth more clearly. But a high-performance engine is useless without fuel, and this is where most of you are failing. You are running on dirty fuel. You are running on fear. This brings us to the third continuum of the success mindsets, the prevention mindset versus the promotion mindset. This is the shift that dictates your drive. It dictates your risk tolerance. And ultimately, it dictates whether you burn out or burn bright. Let's diagnose the problem. Most people believe they are ambitious. You wake up early, you work late, you push your team, you have big revenue targets. But look closer at the energy behind that work. Why are you working so hard? Are you working to win? Or are you working not to lose? There is a massive neurological difference. If you are operating from a prevention mindset, your primary goal is safety. Your primary goal is to maintain the status quo. You want to avoid problems. You want to avoid losing money. You want to avoid getting fired. You want to avoid looking foolish. Ryan Gottfredson uses the metaphor of a ship. The prevention mindset is a ship captain whose only goal is to keep the ship from sinking. So what does he do? He stays in the harbor. He avoids the open ocean because the ocean is unpredictable. He checks the hull for leaks 10 times a day. He screams at the crew if they make a mess. He is busy. He is stressed. He is working incredibly hard, but the ship isn't going anywhere. It is just bobbing up and down in the safety of the dock. This is the state of most modern executives. You are busy preventing. You are preventing a dip in quarterly earnings. You are preventing a difficult conversation with HR. You are preventing a client from leaving. And the emotional fuel of the prevention mindset is anxiety. Think about your average Tuesday. You wake up with a knot in your stomach. You look at your phone. You see a problem. Your cortisol spikes. You rush to work. You fight the fire. You solve the problem. And what do you feel when you solve it? You don't feel joy. You feel relief. You feel the absence of pain. You think, thank God that's over. And then you wait for the next fire. This is the anxiety relief loop. Anxiety, action, relief, anxiety, action, relief. It is exhausting. It is a treadmill that goes nowhere. And eventually, it burns out your adrenal system. You cannot innovate from a place of prevention. You cannot disrupt an industry when your primary goal is to not rock the boat. To achieve vertical development, we have to flip the switch. We have to move to the promotion mindset. The promotion mindset is not focused on safety. It is focused on destination. It is the ship captain who says, "We are going to the new world." Does he know there are storms? Yes. Does he know the ship might take damage? Yes. But he doesn't care about the safety of the ship as much as he cares about the value of the destination. He is playing to win. He is focused on gains, on growth, on advancement. And the emotional fuel changes. You stop running on anxiety. You start running on enthusiasm. You start running on purpose. When a problem hits, you don't panic. You see it as a puzzle to solve on the way to your goal. And when you solve it, you don't feel relief. You feel excitement. You feel progress. This is the energy of every great entrepreneur. This is the energy of Elon Musk, of Sarah Blakely, of Steve Jobs. They were not trying to avoid failure. They were trying to build something that didn't exist. So, how do you make the shift? How do you stop playing defense and start playing offense? The answer lies in one specific missing piece: the destination. You cannot have a promotion mindset if you don't know where you are going. If you don't have a clear, compelling why. If you don't have a vision of the future that excites you, your brain will default to factory settings. And the factory setting of the human brain is survival. It is prevention. Your brain is wired to keep you safe, not to make you successful. If you do not give your brain a destination, it will just try to keep you comfortable. So, the first step to rewiring this mindset is to define the destination. And I don't mean a revenue target. 10 million in sales is not a destination. That is a metric. A destination is a vision of who you will become and what you will create. We need to force your brain to look at the horizon. I'm going to give you 2 protocols to do this. The first is a weekly reset. The second is a daily primer. Protocol 1, the 30-minute sabbatical. This is a non-negotiable requirement for anyone in leadership. You are too busy. You are stuck in the weeds. You are in reactive mode, answering emails, Slack messages, phone calls. Reactive mode is prevention mode. You need to break the pattern. Once a week. I recommend Sunday night or Monday morning before the chaos starts. You are going to take a 30-minute sabbatical. Go into a room, close the door, turn off your phone, turn off the Wi-Fi. No digital inputs, just you and a notebook. And you are going to ask yourself one question. If I could not fail, what is the one big thing I would do to move my life forward right now? Sit with that question. At first, your brain will resist. It will say, I have to answer that email from Bob. It will say, I need to do the laundry. Ignore it. Wait for the promotion mindset to kick in. Wait for the vision. Maybe the answer is, I need to launch that new product line. Maybe it is, I need to fire the toxic client. Maybe it is, I need to write the book. Once you have the answer, write it down. And then, this is the critical part. Schedule the first step immediately. Put it on the calendar. This forces your brain out of the harbor and into the open sea. It forces you to play offense. Protocol 2. Morning promotion journaling. We need to rewire your daily neural firing. Most of you start your day in prevention. The alarm goes off. You grab your phone. You check the news. You check email. Boom. You are reactive. You have let the world dictate your state. You are already playing defense. We are going to change the first 10 minutes of your day. Before you touch the phone, before you check the news, you grab a pen. You are going to write 3 things. Number 1. What are 3 things I am grateful for? This sounds soft. It isn't. Gratitude forces your brain to scan for gains. It forces you to look for what is going right rather than what is going wrong. It shifts your chemistry from cortisol to dopamine. Number 2. What are 3 things that would make today great? Notice the language. Not, what do I have to do today? But, what would make today great? This forces you to set a destination for the next 12 hours. It moves you from a to-do list, prevention, to a success list, promotion. Number 3. Your daily affirmation. This is a statement of identity. I am a creative problem solver. I am a bold leader. I am building an empire. This primes your reticular activating system, the part of your brain that filters reality. If you tell yourself, I am a bold leader, your brain will spend the rest of the day looking for opportunities to be bold. It will look for the promotion path. These 2 protocols, the sabbatical and the journal, are the gym for your motivation. You cannot just hope to be motivated. You have to engineer it. You have to drag your brain out of the safety of the harbor and point it toward the horizon. Because here is the truth about the prevention mindset. It feels safe, but it is the most dangerous place you can be. Because while you are sitting in the harbor, patching the leaks, avoiding the waves, the world is moving on. Your competitors are sailing. Your potential is sailing, and you are left behind. The greatest risk in life is not taking a risk. The greatest risk is reaching the end of your life and realizing that you spent the entire time protecting a ship that never went anywhere. So, cut the rope. Raise the anchor. Stop playing not to lose. Start playing to win. But, as you set sail, as you start moving toward that big, scary goal, you are going to realize something. You cannot sail the ship alone. You need a crew. You need a team. And this brings us to the final and most difficult hurdle. How do you treat your crew? Do you treat them like gears in the machine? Do you treat them like resources to be exploited? Or do you treat them like partners? This is the shift that separates the managers from the legends. This is the shift from inward to outward. Part 4. The relational shift, from self-betrayal to outward empowerment. We have arrived at the 4th and final shift, and I need you to listen very closely. Because you can master everything we have discussed so far. You can have the agility of a growth mindset. You can have the hunger of a promotion mindset. You can be the smartest, most driven, most strategically brilliant leader in your industry. But if you get this part wrong, you will fail. You will fail because business is not a solo sport. You will fail because you cannot build an empire alone. And if you get this part wrong, you will destroy the very people you need to help you build it. We are talking about the relational shift. We are talking about the difference between the inward mindset and the outward mindset. This is the filter that dictates how you see human beings, and for most high performers, this is the blind spot that kills them. Let's be honest about the default setting of the ambitious leader. You are focused. You are intense. You have a vision. You are the protagonist of the movie. And because you are the protagonist, everyone else in your life, your employees, your customers, your spouse, your kids, they naturally become supporting characters. In the inward mindset, you are the center of the universe. And from that center, you look out at the world and you do not see people, you see objects. This is a hard reality to face, but we have to face it. When you are inward, you objectify the people around you in 3 specific ways. First, you see them as vehicles. These are the people you can use. You look at your assistant, and you don't see a person with dreams and fears. You see a calendar management machine. You look at your sales team, and you don't see human beings. You see a revenue generation unit. You look at your spouse, and you don't see a partner. You see someone who keeps the house clean so you can go conquer the world. As long as they are useful to you, you value them. But the moment they stop being useful, you discard them. Because you don't care about them. You care about what they can do for you. Second, you see them as obstacles. These are the people who are in your way. This is the colleague who questions your budget. This is the customer who keeps calling with complaints. This is your child who is crying when you are trying to sleep. When you see someone as an obstacle, you don't want to understand them. You want to fix them. You want to remove them. You want to overcome them. You blame them for your stress. You resent them for existing. Third, you see them as irrelevancies. These are the people who simply do not matter to you. The Uber driver, the receptionist at the client's office, the junior intern. You look right through them. You don't know their names. You don't make eye contact. To you, they are just background noise. They are part of the scenery. Now, you might be thinking, I don't do that. I'm a nice person. I say please and thank you. But politeness is not the same as an outward mindset. You can be polite and still view someone as a vehicle. You can smile while you are manipulating someone. And here is the dangerous part. People know. Human beings have a radar for this. Your team can feel it when you are inward. They can feel that you are using them. They can feel that you view them as problems to be solved. And what happens when people feel used? They withdraw. They stop giving you their best ideas. They stop taking risks. They hide their mistakes because they know you will blame them. They disengage. And then, you get frustrated. You think, why is my team so passive? Why do I have to do everything myself? And that frustration pushes you deeper into the inward mindset. You push harder. They pull back. You blame them. They resent you. It is a vicious cycle. And it destroys culture from the inside out. So, the question is, how do we get here? Why do decent, well-meaning leaders end up treating people like objects? Gottfredson explains this with a powerful psychological mechanism called self-betrayal. This is the root of the inward mindset. And I want to walk you through exactly how it happens, because it is happening to you every single day. It starts with a simple impulse. You are sitting on a crowded train. You are tired. You have had a long day. A pregnant woman walks onto the train. Instantly, you have a natural human impulse. I should stand up and offer her my seat. That impulse is the outward mindset. That is your brain recognizing her humanity. It is recognizing that her need is real. But then, you hesitate. You stay seated. You think, I'm really tired today. You think, my feet hurt. You think, there are other people here. Someone else will get up. You deny the impulse. You act contrary to what you know is right. This is the moment of self-betrayal. And this is where the brain does something fascinating and dangerous. When you betray yourself, you create cognitive dissonance. You feel a little bit of guilt. You feel a little bit of shame. And the human brain hates shame. The brain needs to be right. It needs to be the hero of the story. So, to get rid of the guilt, to justify the fact that you are still sitting in that seat, your brain has to rewrite reality. You have to make her the problem. You start to think, why didn't she book a seat? You start to think, she is looking at me like she's entitled to my spot. How rude. You start to think, she probably isn't even that pregnant. Do you see what just happened? In a matter of seconds, you turned a human being into an obstacle. You turned her into an object. You inflated your own importance. I am so tired, I deserve this seat. And you minimized her importance. You entered the box, and once you are in the box, you are blind. You believe your distorted view of reality is the truth. This happens in business constantly. Let's take a work scenario. You have an impulse to share information with a colleague in another department, but you hesitate. You think, if I give him this data, he might look better than me in the meeting. You betray the impulse. You hoard the information. Now you have to justify it. You tell yourself, he isn't smart enough to understand this data anyway. You tell yourself, he is a competitor. He is trying to undermine me. You turn your colleague into an enemy. And now, every interaction you have with him is poisoned. You are defensive. He is defensive. The silos go up. The collaboration dies. And it all started with one moment of self-betrayal. So, how do we break out? How do we escape the box? We have to make the shift to the outward mindset. The outward mindset is the ability to see others as people. It is the profound realization that their needs, their objectives, and their challenges are just as legitimate as your own. It doesn't mean you are soft. It doesn't mean you let people walk all over you. In fact, outward leaders are often tougher than inward leaders, but the intent is different. An inward leader holds you accountable because you are a problem to be fixed. An outward leader holds you accountable because they want you to grow. Let me prove to you that this drives performance. Let's look at the story of the Kansas City SWAT team. You cannot find a more intense, masculine, high-stakes environment than a SWAT team. For years, this unit operated with a classic inward mindset. Their identity was based on force, on dominance, on control. They measured success by the number of arrests and the amount of drugs seized. They saw the citizens in the neighborhoods they patrolled as obstacles, criminals, or irrelevancies, bystanders. They didn't care about the people, they cared about the mission, and the result was chaos. The community hated them. They were seen as an occupying army. They had 2 to 3 formal complaints filed against them every single month. They were constantly being sued. They were constantly under investigation. And because the community didn't trust them, the community didn't help them. No one gave them tips. No one told them where the bad guys were hiding. Then, a new commander took over. Chip Huth. Chip had an awakening. He realized that their inward mindset was actually endangering his officers. He decided to shift the unit to an outward mindset. He gathered his men, these tough, tactical operators, and he changed the mission. He said, "We are not here to arrest people. We are here to create safety. And we cannot create safety if we treat people like garbage." They changed their tactics. When they executed a search warrant, they didn't just kick in the door and scream. They knocked. They treated the people inside with basic human dignity. If they found a family inside, they took the time to explain what was happening to the children so they wouldn't be traumatized. They started seeing the people in those neighborhoods not as targets, but as people. Now, listen to the results. In the next few years, the number of complaints against the unit dropped from 3 per month to 0. 0 complaints in 6 years. But that is not the best part. You might think that being nice made them less effective. You might think the criminals got away. Wrong. Their performance skyrocketed. They recovered more guns and more drugs than ever before in the unit's history. Why? Because the community flipped. The people realized that the SWAT team respected them, so they started helping. They started calling in tips. "Hey, the guy you're looking for is in the blue house." By shifting from inward to outward, they didn't just become nicer, they became better. They became the highest performing unit in the department. This is the power of the relational shift. It is not just a soft skill, it is a strategic weapon. When your people know that you see them, when they know that you are not using them, they will run through walls for you. So, how do you execute this? How do you stop the self-betrayal and start seeing people? I am going to give you 2 protocols. Protocol 1. The person versus object scan. I want you to use this before every difficult interaction. Before you walk into that tense negotiation, before you have that performance review. Stop. Take 5 seconds. Visualize the person you are about to talk to, and ask yourself the diagnostic question. How am I seeing them right now? Am I seeing them as a problem I need to fix? Am I seeing them as a threat to my authority? If the answer is yes, you are inward. And if you go into the meeting with that mindset, you will fail. You will trigger their defensiveness. You need to reset. Ask yourself the humanizing question. What is one challenge this person is facing right now that matters to them? Maybe they are terrified of losing their budget. Maybe they are under pressure from their own boss. Maybe they are dealing with a sick parent. As soon as you acknowledge their struggle, you flip the switch. You turn them back into a human being in your mind. And when you walk into that room, your energy will be different. You will be firm, but you will be fair. You will be looking for a solution that works for both of you, not just a way to crush them. Protocol 2. The empowerment question. This is for those of you who lead teams. If you feel like your team is passive, if you feel like you are the only one who cares, if you feel like you are dragging dead weight up a mountain, it is time to look in the mirror. You are likely the constraint. You have been operating inwardly. You have been hoarding the responsibility. You need to ask yourself this question. From the conductor Benjamin Zander. Who am I being that their light is not shining? This is a brutal question. It requires extreme humility. It forces you to consider that you are the reason your team is dim. Maybe you are micromanaging them, treating them like vehicles. Maybe you are criticizing their every mistake, treating them like obstacles. Maybe you are not giving them the context they need, treating them like irrelevancies. When you ask, "Who am I being?" you take radical responsibility. You stop blaming them for being lazy. and you start looking at how you are leading. When you shift to outward, you stop trying to be the genius with 1,000 helpers. You become the architect. You build a platform where they can be the geniuses, and that is how you scale. That is how you build a legacy. We have now covered the 4 shifts. We have moved from fix to growth, from close to open, from prevention to promotion, from inward to outward. You have the blueprint for a high-performance mind. But, and this is a massive but, knowing the blueprint is not the same as building the house. You can listen to this summary and nod your head. You can agree with everything I have said, but tomorrow morning the pressure will hit, the stress will spike, and your brain will snap back to the old wiring. Because those old neural pathways are deep, they are carved into your skull by decades of habit. You cannot just decide to change. You have to train to change. You have to physically rewire the connections in your brain. So, how do we do that? How do we bridge the gap between knowing and doing? We need a methodology. We need a daily practice. We need the user manual for neuroplasticity. That is our final step. Part 5. The methodology, neuroplasticity and rewiring. You now have the map. You know the 4 coordinates of success. You know the difference between fixed and growth, between closed and open, between prevention and promotion, between inward and outward. But having a map is not the same thing as navigating the terrain. And this brings us to the most dangerous phase of the entire process, the knowing-doing gap. You are going to finish this summary. You are going to feel inspired. You are going to feel upgraded. And then, Monday morning will hit. A crisis will happen. A client will yell at you. Your spouse will say something that triggers you. And in a split second, you will snap back. You will slide right back into the fixed mindset. You will slide right back into prevention. You will slide right back into the box. Why? Are you weak? No. Are you stupid? No. You are biological. To understand why change is so hard, you have to understand the physical architecture of your brain. You have to understand the hardware. Your brain is not a cloud. It is a jungle of 86 billion neurons. And every time you think a thought, every time you react with defensiveness, every time you avoid a risk, neurons fire together. And as the neuroscientist Donald Hebb said, neurons that fire together, wire together. I want you to imagine a canyon. For 30 years, water has flowed down the same path in that canyon. It has cut a deep, jagged groove into the rock. That groove is your current mindset. When stress hits, your mental energy flows down the path of least resistance. It flows into the deep canyon. It flows into, I need to be right. It flows into, this is too risky. It flows into, they are the problem. You cannot just decide to stop the water. The canyon is too deep. The gravity is too strong. To change your mindset, you have to dig a new canal. You have to physically rewire the gray matter in your skull. This is called neuroplasticity, and it does not happen by magic. It happens by repetition. It happens by force. Ryan Gottfredson gives us the engineering protocols to do this. We are not talking about positive thinking. We are talking about cognitive restructuring. We are going to look at 3 specific mechanisms to force the rewire. These are your tools. You need to use them every single day until the new canal is deeper than the old one. Mechanism number 1. The pause. The most critical skill in vertical development is the ability to interrupt your own automatic processing. Between the stimulus, what happens to you, and the response, what you do, there is a space. In that space is your freedom. But for most of us, that space is microscopic. Stimulus. You made a mistake. Response. No, I didn't. Defensiveness. Stimulus. We have a new competitor. Response. Panic. Prevention. We have to widen the gap. We have to insert a pause. Here is the protocol. You are going to use a physical trigger. When you feel your chest tighten, when you feel the heat in your face, when you feel that sudden urge to interrupt someone, that is your body telling you that the old mindset is loading. The red alert is flashing. You must stop. Do not speak. Do not type. Do not move. Take one deep breath. And in that breath, you are going to ask one specific diagnostic question. Which mindset am I in right now? Just naming it disarms it. I am in the prevention mindset. I am in the closed mindset. I am viewing this person as an object. Once you name it, you engage your prefrontal cortex. You take the power away from the amygdala, and then you can choose the alternative. I am in closed. So I need to force myself to ask a what question. I am in prevention. So I need to force myself to look at the destination. This sounds simple. It is the hardest thing you will ever do. But every time you pause, every time you interrupt the flow, you are putting a dam in the old canyon, and you are forcing the water into the new canal. You are physically changing the structure of your brain. Mechanism number 2. Strategic journaling. I know what you are thinking. I don't have time to journal. I'm an executive. I'm busy. Listen to me. Journaling is not a diary. It is not about writing down your feelings. Journaling is a cognitive tool to objectify your thinking. You cannot fix a thought while you are swimming inside of it. You have to take it out of your head and put it on paper so you can look at it. Gottfredson recommends a specific routine to rewire the two most critical mindsets, growth and promotion. Let's start with the evening protocol for the growth mindset. At the end of the day, before you close your laptop, you are going to write down the answers to 2 prompts. Prompt 1. What is one thing I failed at today, and what did I learn? We are desensitizing you to failure. Most of you spend your entire day trying to forget your failures. You sweep them under the rug. We are going to do the opposite. We are going to put them under the microscope. If you write this every night, your brain starts to realize that failure didn't kill you. It taught you. You start to associate failure with data, not shame. Prompt 2. Where did I struggle? And how will I adjust tomorrow? This forces you into a strategic mode. It moves you from I'm stuck, fixed, to I'm solving, growth. Now let's look at the morning protocol for the promotion mindset. We need to prime your brain for wins before the day even starts. Most of you start the day in a deficit. You wake up thinking about what you haven't done. We are going to flip that. Prompt 1. What are 3 things I am grateful for? This is not spiritual. This is biological. Gratitude forces your brain to scan the environment for positives. It spikes your dopamine. It puts you in a gain state rather than a loss state. Prompt 2. What are 3 things that would make today great? Notice the language. Not, what do I have to do? But, what would make it great? This sets a destination. It gives your brain a target to hit. If you do this for 30 days, just 5 minutes in the morning and 5 minutes at night, you will change. You will find that you stop fearing challenges and start seeking them. You will find that you stop dreading the day and start attacking it. Mechanism number 3. If-then planning. This is a technique from psychology used to pre-program your brain for high-stress situations. We call this implementation intentions. Here is the reality. Your brain is bad at making good decisions when it is stressed. When the pressure is on, your IQ drops. You revert to your training. So, we make the decision before the stress happens. We write an algorithm for your behavior. The formula is, if trigger happens, then I will execute this specific action. You need to write these down for your specific mindset triggers. Let's say you struggle with the closed mindset. Your algorithm is, if someone disagrees with me in a meeting and I feel angry, then I will take a sip of water and ask, what makes you see it that way? You have pre-decided the action. You don't have to think about it in the moment. You just execute the code. Let's say you struggle with the inward mindset. Your algorithm is, if I feel frustrated with an employee's performance, then I will ask myself, what challenge are they facing that I am missing? Let's say you struggle with the fixed mindset. If I catch myself saying, I can't do this, then I will immediately say out loud, I can't do this, yet. This is how you weaponize your habits. You take the thinking out of the equation. You turn the new mindset into a reflex. If you do not have a plan for your triggers, you will fail. The environment is too strong. The stress is too high. But if you have the algorithm, if you have the if-then plan, you are armored. You are prepared. These 3 mechanisms, the pause, strategic journaling, and if-then planning, are the heavy lifting. They are the gym. You cannot go to the gym once and expect to be an athlete, and you cannot use these tools once and expect to be a high-performance leader. You have to do the reps. You have to grind the new canal, day after day, meeting after meeting, crisis after crisis. It will be exhausted at first. Your old brain will fight you. It will scream at you to go back to the old way. It will tell you that it is easier to be defensive. It will tell you that it is safer to stay in the harbor. It will tell you that people are objects to be used. Do not listen. Keep digging. Keep pausing. Keep writing. Because eventually, something magical happens. The water shifts. The new canal becomes deeper than the old one. The growth mindset becomes your default. The open mindset becomes your reflex. Promotion becomes your natural state. Outward becomes your character. And that is when the vertical development is complete. That is when you have upgraded the operating system. And once the upgrade is installed, everything else becomes easier. The strategy becomes clearer. The execution becomes faster. The leadership becomes natural. You stop fighting against yourself. You are no longer a high-performance app trying to run on a broken phone. You are a supercomputer, and you are ready to run at maximum capacity. This is the work. It is not easy, but it is the only work that matters. Because the level of your success will never exceed the level of your mindset. If you want to change your life, you have to change your lens. We are almost done. We have covered the awakening, the intellectual shift, the motivational shift, the relational shift, and the methodology. Now, we need to bring it all home. We need to send you out into the world with a final charge. As we come to the close of this summary, you now possess the schematics for a high-performance mind. We have stripped away the layers of behavior and looked directly at the source code. Think about what we have covered. You have navigated the intellectual shift, moving from the fragility of looking good to the power of getting better. We dismantled the motivational shift, swapping the anxiety of prevention for the driving purpose of promotion. We exposed the relational shift, breaking out of the inward box to unlock the influence of outward leadership. And finally, you have the methodology, the daily protocols of pausing, journaling, and planning that will physically rewire your brain. But let me leave you with a final warning. Insight is cheap. Transformation is expensive. It costs you your ego. It costs you your comfort. It costs you your old way of being. You are going to be tempted to treat this summary like every other book you have ever read. You are going to be tempted to say, "That was interesting," and then go back to your emails. You are going to be tempted to go back to fixing the fruit, trying to hack your schedule, trying to force your team to work harder, trying to grind your way to success. Do not do it. Do not waste this data. You have spent enough time hitting your head against the ceiling of your own potential. You have spent enough time running new software on an old operating system. It is time to stop hacking at the leaves and strike at the root. Here is your immediate directive. Step 1. Go to the author's website. Take the Success Mindset Assessment. You cannot improve what you cannot measure. You need to see your numbers. You need to see exactly where you are fixed, where you are closed, and where you are inward. Face the data. Step 2. Pick one protocol. Just one. Do not try to rewire your entire brain overnight. You will fail. Pick the YET technique, or pick the morning gratitude, or pick the person versus object scan, and commit to it for 30 days. Make it non-negotiable. Prove to yourself that you are the architect of your own mind. Step 3. Look at your team. Look at your family, and ask yourself the question that changes everything. Who am I being that their light is not shining? That is the question of a true leader. That is the question that breaks the ceiling. The world does not need another busy executive playing defense. The world does not need another manager treating people like objects. The world needs you to wake up. The world needs the version 2.0 of you. The upgrade is ready. The code is in your hands. The only question left is, will you install it, or will you stay in the harbor? The choice is yours.